Go for it.
Friggin' what up, dude? Strider Wilson, I'm the host of this podcast that's mine, going to be called History is Dank. History is Dank with Strider Wilson. Dankness from the ground. Frickin' let's go, dude. Welcome back to another ep of History is Dank, dude. I'm your host, Strider Wilson, dude. We got Aaron going beast mode on the sticks, dude. What up, Aaron, dude?
What up?
Dude, just freaking chilling, dude. Do we both? Hey, we're recording early today. Here's the thing: comedy before noon, not the easiest thing in the world. But I got my cold brew. I'm jacked up. Aaron's all hopped up on freaking NyQuil. Kidding, he's being safe. He came in the studio. He's fine. Aaron's all hopped up on meth right now. So he cruised in, feeling pretty good. He drove here in reverse, dude. He rollerbladed to the studio today, down the freaking freeway, dude. Freaking legit.
And hard as a rock.
Dude, you ever see just a big old boner cruising in? Dude, you ever see someone with a suitcase that's not at a travel area? Like, you ever cruise up to like an In-N-Out Burger? And I'm not talking about, I'm not, punching down, being classist here, like the disenfranchised, something, they'll have those. But I'm talking about just a, regular dude just having a suitcase, wheeling it.
Oh, you mean have I ever seen a spy?
Thank you, Aaron. I mean, you get right to, you know what? That meth is kicking in nicely. Let me take a sip of cold brew. Cheers to, that's what I'm saying. What are these dudes up to? There's no reason you should have a suitcase at a cheesecake factory.
They're going to leave that on a park bench.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other dude's going to walk up, maybe a trench coat.
Yep.
Maybe that's too obvious. He's going to sit down next to that briefcase, and then he's going to get up about 5 minutes later and take that briefcase with him.
They're going to say some sort of code word like the wind is blowing west today, or New England clam chowder, something like that.
The bagel flies at midnight.
The bagel, exactly. And then the documents have been shared.
Yeah.
So, what's it called? Undercover agents' names are out at this point.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It just makes me go, what? And look, I'm not some conspiracy guy, but these dudes are spies. Conspiracies, dude, annoying, stupid. Everyone just calm down. What are people doing that need to gear up buying tactical gear, dude? Don't get me wrong, it does look pretty sick. I'm enjoying my tack glasses, dude. They're pretty freaking sick.
Yeah.
But, you see these dudes who got like, tack things on their belt for like holding their cell phone.
Well, that's just dads.
Boots. Yeah, dads have that. I guess you have to like have both hands ready if you need to catch a pop fly your kid's game or something like that. Otherwise, I might do
the
it.
bracelet that is also like a 14-foot rope.
Yes. Oh yeah, bro. That's hilarious. Whatever that material is that becomes a rope. I'm like, what are you going to be rappelling from, dude? What? I'm like, dude. But I guess if you've got a kid and you're a dad, we nailed it. Otherwise, I was like, why do you want to live that bad, dude? If an earthquake's going to get me, dude, all right, cool. What am I going to go? What am I rushing back to my life for? Not to get dark. I love my wife. I love my dog. But, honestly, if I go down, they'll probably be better off with the insurance policy, dude. They'd probably be stoked if a freaking palm tree frond takes me out during an e-quake. That's all I'm saying, dude.
Did you feel the quake on Sunday?
Did what? Oh, that's kind of what got it on my mind, yeah. Honestly, I was like, dude, should I get roped because I live on the 3rd level? But then I was like, I'm chill. I'll just go down. I did feel it, dude. I was just posting up, and I was gaming. I thought it was my Rumble Pack on my controller. And then my wife cruised in, dude. My dank guy's wife's like, you feel that? I was like, dude, whoa. Legit.
Oh, it rocked our house.
Do you think that sometimes Mormons, you think they'd want to live in an earthquake zone because they like to soak?
Yeah. If
you don't know what soaking is, that's where you just, sorry to get a little blue here for the kids listening. That's when you, what'd you say? You interlock? You dock? If this is interstellar, you've docked with the space station. Your shuttle has docked with the space station, to use a metaphor here. And then you're still, because you're tricking God, because, God's like, oh yeah, that's, there's no back and forth motion. That's not boning. That's just docking, aka soaking. But if an earthquake happened while you're soaking, that'd be tight. And technically that's like God kind of giving you his like, let me help you out here.
Yeah.
Otherwise you got to wait for a sneeze. So, glad we got that out of the way. Being a total weirdo this morning. Just being a total weirdo. But I am fired up for our topic today, dude. We're going to be talking about one of the ultimate schmoles in all of history, dude.
Oh, boy.
And look, dude, a lot of my bros describe themselves as capitalist. If you meet a dude and immediately he goes, I'm a capitalist, and describe himself. Like if you were to meet me and I was going to describe myself, I'd be like, I'm a freaking chiller, dude, I'm a dank ass hubby. I'm a hubby now. Have that done? I'm a dank ass. That's how I describe myself. I got psycho bros out there who describe me. I'm a capitalist, dude. I'm an opportunist. There's dudes that I've seen that come back from their honeymoons in Bora Bora. They're like, look, dude, there's a lot of resources out there. We should bring a Chipotle to Bora Bora. We would make bank. I'm like, dude, just relax. You should have just enjoyed your vacation. So, but there's dudes out there during the age known as the Gilded Age. And today we'll be discussing a Gilded Shmole, Jay Gould. So before we get into that, real quick, just got to give a huge what up to our freaking sponsors, dude. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with flavorful, and favorful, because you're doing yourself a favor by saving time, I'll tell you that. And nutritious, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. I love them, dude. I got this green curry, chickpea green curry. I'm all fired up on chickpeas, packed with protein, dude. Plus my friggin' dank wife is vegetarian, so I love to share that with her. And Factor, heat them up quick, dude. Ready, if you're having an active day, running around, ready in 2 minutes in the microwave. Super easy. You could use the oven if you want to, but I love how fast and easy and delicious they are. So, you treat yourself by heading to factormeals.com/dank50 and use code dank50 to get 50% off. That's code dank50 at factormeals.com/dank50 to get 50% off. Also, huge shout out to Dadgrass. So, look, dude, I'm heading to my draft weekend. I'm heading to Utah with all my boys, and I'm fired up that, hey, maybe you're going on a road trip, but I'm flying, dude. And guess what? My Dadgrass products, they're TSA approved, dude. And I can skip the usual stress of travel and chill out with my Dadgrass pre-rolls. I'm bringing them for the boys and for myself before I draft for fantasy. So I'm fired up. So right now, Dadgrass is offering our listeners 20% off your first order when you go to dadgrass.com/dank. Go to dadgrass.com/dank for 20% off your first order. That's dadgrass.com/dank. All right. So let's set the table here for the Gilded Age. This term comes from a Mark Twain novel set in the late 1800s. And it became the namesake of this era. It was when America became prosperous, saw unprecedented growth in industry and technology, but the Gilded Age had a more sinister side. That's what we're diving into right now, is a period where greedy, corrupt industrialists, bankers, and politicians enjoyed extraordinary wealth and opulence at the expense of the working class. In fact, it was wealthy tycoons, not politicians, who inconspicuously held the most political power during the Gilded Age. Probably you've heard these names before. Maybe you haven't. Probably you have. J.P. Morgan. Ever heard of him? Oh, yeah. Cornelius Vanderbilt. Never trust a dude named Cornelius, dude. Nah. John D. Rockefeller. Ever heard of that? Rockefeller Plaza. Andrew Carnegie. Ever heard of that? Carnegie Hall. Jay Gould. Name maybe you haven't heard of. So these other names that I mentioned, these top four, are usually, they're sort of known as like these, they don't really get they're kind of known as capitalists. But Jay Gould is known as a robber baron. He actually, I think, is who the term is coined after, a robber baron. But Morgan, Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, Carnegie, you could make the argument that they did do some philanthropy, right? They got into the arts. They gave back a little bit. Jay Gould The Shmole? Nah, dude. Chuck Knobloch, dude. Fuck that, bro. No way, bro. A good example to use here, A lot of these guys are involved in industry, steel, infrastructure. What's the main infrastructure that's being built in the 1800s? The railroad. Rail transit, dude. Just, picture in your mind the dude that has his private rail car, smoking stogies out the back, sipping on a scotch, dude, settling the American Southwest. Going, here's a classic term, the railroad's coming through town. And a great thing, just to kick things off with Jay Gould before we dive into him deeper, is he actually went so far as to put a curse on a town. He straight up, cursed a town. Legend has it, this is in 1882, the Texas and Pacific Railroad is coming to parts of this city known as Jefferson in Texas. And the residents all band together and they're like, fuck you, bro. No, we're not going to sell you. You don't offer us great deals. You're taking our land. Dude, imagine how much railroad guys would get lucky too and get oil land too when they're coming through buying up land from, folks trying to settle and make a life. And people of Jefferson were like, nah, dude, because they were seeing what was happening, dude. At this point, I think, Jay Gould, he ended up, we'll get into some facts about him, but he held 15%, personally owned 15% of the United States railroads. And we'll get into his methods of what he did, how he bought up, horizontal integration versus vertical. We'll get into that stuff in a little bit. And I don't want to bore you up the top. I want to lead you with curses, dude. And his curse, he goes, these people won't sell. The people of Jefferson won't sell. And he goes, quote, grass will not grow in your streets. Oh, he goes, grass will grow in your streets and bats will roost in your belfries. About Gould. I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know what a bat roosting in your belfry is. Maybe that's
belfry.
Yeah, belfry. What the hell is that? It's part of a house?
Yeah, or like a church where the bell is a belfry.
Yeah, you don't want bats up there, dude.
Or
shitting guano.
Yeah.
So this rallies the people of Jefferson, and in fact, I read this article in the Washington Post because I read the Post, dude. I freaking post up with the Post, dude. It's hot coffee and post up with the Post and just stare down old dudes, dude. And he just this quote rallied the people of Jefferson. Now, did the town of Jefferson really ever amount to anything? No. And it came from this article in 1983, sort of quote unquote celebrating in jest, or I could say commemorating in jest, the 100-year anniversary of this curse. And apparently, and there's a little bit of legend here where Jay Gould was checked in at this Excelsior Hotel in Jefferson, and he signed his name. Like, you check into the guest book, he signs his name with a drawing of a jaybird. His name's Jay. So it's like, that was kind of disrespectful. People were like, dude, just write your name. He just drew a jaybird, apparently. And then, and he wrote the curse in there too. And I mean, that's pretty much it. The people, I think the town never did too much. I don't even know if they had a sick ass football team. Maybe they had some talent come out of there at some point, but he said it would be, quote, the end of Jefferson, dude. But nah, Jefferson's still going along. I mean, they're doing their thing. I don't think the thing down there's anything special. Sorry, Jefferson, dude, but just post it up. So anyway, he cursed a town. Did not get into any philanthropic and activities such as his other quote-unquote capitalist Robert Barons did, like Vanderbilt, Carnegie, and Rockefeller, Morgan. So let's just go Transcontinental Railroad, 1869, it's finished. Obviously, what I just mentioned was in 1882. Jay Gould, he starts getting into, well, first let's do a little bit of the Gilded Age before we just get into Gould, and just talk about, in case anyone doesn't know about the Transcontinental Railroad, if you're listening from abroad, which we do have freaking Danktorians from abroad, freaking love that, dude. It just made it, like, obviously, it made access to the Western United States hugely, vastly, just fucking want to use the word vast there, forcing it, dude, but it's not really coming to me nicely because my meth hasn't kicked in yet. But it's just made it a lot easier. Let's just put it that way, dude. Let's just get right fucking to it, bro. you check out that episode I did back in the day on the Oregon Trail, which used to be a sick ass game that you could play on your computer. Sick ass game. All I would do is go hunting and get dysentery. Check out that episode. You used to have to travel by, Conestoga wagons. The Donner Party famously got stranded, had to eat each other. Gnarly stuff went down. Rail transit makes this a lot easier. Expansion. Families moving out west, settling in the west, starting a new life. If you owned the railroad, you were making freaking bank, dude. Resulted in rail companies and their executives receiving huge amounts of money and land, millions of acres from the United States government. Guess what? Stealing that from native populations, stealing that from folks just trying to settle, like in Jefferson. We just heard about that. Politicians would cut shady backroom deals, help create railroad and shipping site tycoons, like I mentioned, Vanderbilt, Cornelius Vanderbilt, Jay Gould. You have people being exploited for wages. You have immigrants. You have former slaves working on these on the railroads and going out west. You have Chinese immigrants, Irish immigrants. Famously, you have blasting through the Sierra Nevadas, people dying working on these things. Tons of bad stuff going on, and no one's hearing about it, and these tycoons are just making bank. And then you get this term called muckrakers. It's a term used to describe reporters who expose these corruptions among the politicians and elite, and about the underpayment, wages, and how these guys are just getting fat off the backs of migrant workers. So this is investigative journalism. Journalism is popping up at this point. And the muckrakers dig through the muck of the Gilded Age and report scandal and injustice. Because of the Gilded Age, you have a rise of unions. There's strength in numbers, dude, right? Became obvious that this huge disparity in wealth of the poor and the working class couldn't last. And they wanted improved working conditions and livelihood, and this wouldn't happen without some degree of violence, dude. I mean, you've got these workers, you got dynamite, dude. You got people fighting each other. You got scabs. You got all this stuff going on during the Gilded Age. People working together, dude. If just tons of stuff going down, right? And then honestly, you want to prop up the union and be like, yeah, we're working for good. A lot of it was like, nope, we don't want women working with us. We don't want former slaves working with us. So a lot of bad stuff going down, but it went down, and we got to report it as it was, I should say. So labor unions gained momentum during the Gilded Age. A lot of times it's unskilled, unsatisfied factory workers. That's who you think of when you think of unions. But look at today, tons of strikes going on. Airport, writer strike, SAG after. I'm a member of SAG, so guilds, unions, sort of, cousins of one another. You have these shady deals going on, and Jay Gould gets into some shady stock selling stuff that end up basically leading to crashes later on and defaulting on funds and people, the little man, as they say, losing out on their funds. Banks fold, stock markets plunge, dude. Millions unemployed, homeless, hungry. And I mean, famously, this is when an overextended Philadelphia and Reading Railroad, maybe you heard of it from a little game called Monopoly, where you probably, punched one of your younger brothers playing that, or he punched you if you are the younger brother. Sorry about that. I was a middle brother. I got punched and dealt punches. So, what can you do? This panic, we're jumping ahead to 1893. It sort of covers this whole area post-Civil War up to, turn of the century here. When you get like Roosevelt, who is a progressive movement and pushes things forward, that sort of takes us out of the Gilded Age. But tons of middle-class Americans. They're the ones who tend to bear the brunt, right? Have to pay for a lot of the stuff here, while the Carnegies, Vanderbilts, Goulds, get away with quote-unquote murder as it is. But Roosevelt, he starts this great push forward, and he supported, he supports corporate America, but he felt that there should be federal controls in place to keep excessive corporate greed in check and prevent individuals from making obscene amounts of money off the backs of, like I said, immigrants in the lower class. This, of course, helped by muckrakers in the White House. ushers in this era of the progressive era. And you get reforms due to, like I just mentioned, complete crashes, defaulting of loans, labor unions, violence, striking, all sorts of gnarly situations lead to reformation. You get labor reform, you get women's suffrage, birth control, are things that come out of this formation of trade unions, conservation efforts, right? People are going through, taking the land, and just really, really, fucking doing, with industrialization and dumping, stuff like that's maybe more back east where the steel mills are and stuff, Philly and stuff like that, Pittsburgh. Tax reform, but civil rights, election reform, and fair labor standards come out of this. So, by 1916, cities in America are healthier and cleaner. Factories are slightly safer. There's less corruption, better housing, better working hours, wages. I mean, this is an era of child labor, right? You get these textile mills that would burn up. People would just die, and, they'd have, their families would be like, sorry, there's no insurance or anything like that, workman's comp at this stage. So this progressive era leads us up right into World War I, and then you get a wartime economy that generally is a trend where, if you're in a political debate, you go, hey, Roosevelt's, FDR's, his new era, his new deals, and everything was the wartime economy that saved us. There's arguments to be made about that. All right. But that's sort of just a quick run through of the Gilded Age. But now we're going to be looking at some Shmoles. The Shmoles, and one in particular, Jay Gould. Now there's a debate. Why these wealthy businessmen are tycoons, right? They're not just working on the American dream, but like we just went over, maybe there's a thesis here. Maybe there has to be checks and balances. Too much exploitation. We've played the game of Monopoly. It gets people mad. These guys were playing the game of Monopoly, and instead of people punching each other in the shoulders, people are dying. There's labor strikes. People are losing their livelihood, families. Kids are going into work. You've probably seen those black and white pictures where kids are coming out of the mines, and all they're covered in they get black lung, Zoolander style. They do help form the idea of this American dream, hardworking, good fortune, bring wealth. But at what expense? Exploited workers, children, low wages, long hours, dangerous conditions. It's not good. Obviously, we mentioned the progressives would challenge this and help create laws. But one of the Shmoles who didn't really do anything philanthropic, he did do a curse, like I mentioned earlier, is Jay Gould. Big. I mean, he basically, just to paint a word picture, if you look at him, he kind of looks like Ulysses S. Grant. He's got that long beard, that comb over, whatever. So there's a great image here that was put in by our primary researcher here. Big shout out to Harry, dude. What up, dude? Where it's him bowling down. It's like he's bowling down Wall Street, and the pins are like the private press, general unscrupulousness, false reports, trickery, representing Gould's weapons of obtaining power. The pins are bankers, small operators, speculators, stock dabbler, broker, inexperienced investor, capitalists, the curbstone broker, all groups that were subject to Gould's corruption. Some pins appear smashed in half, so really just freaking schmolled them up, dude. So, and then you got on the blackboards on Wall Street, or aka like the billboards, you got Gould's railroads assets were Western Union, Missouri Pacific, Manhattan, Wabash. I think that's probably out of maybe friggin' Chicago, dude, New York Metropolitan. So tons of shit, dude. Nothing like a good old political cartoon, Honestly, the predecessor to the meme or the meme, which we love so much these days. So, who exactly is this Shmole Jay Gould? Let's get into that, dude. But before we do that, real quick, once again, factor, dude. We're in the thick of summer. You're busy. You're running around. You're cruising around. You got plans. I've got plans. I'm traveling a lot. I'm doing stand-up comedy, hitting the road. So, hey, when my freaking dank wife's at girls' night, I don't want to cook. And sometimes I got to get to a show. I want to eat something easy, get right to my set, and keep cruising if I'm doing multiple things in one night. Factor meal comes in clutch. It's ready. It makes me feel my best. They're healthy. They're delicious. They're quick. So it helps me stick to my wellness goals because, I'm lifting, I'm shredding, dude, I'm bulking. So it helps me stay with my fitness goals to a premium and ready-to-eat meals featuring high-quality ingredients such as broccolini, leeks, and asparagus. Oh, I love it. Treat yourself to 34 plus weekly restaurant quality options like prosciutto shrimp risotto. Oh, me and my Dank wife would have that because she actually is technically, she's pescatarian, so we would have that. Haven't had the Green Goddess chicken yet, but guess what? No reason I'm not going to order those. That sounds delicious because when I'm eating on my own, I had a cashew pepe one the other day. Oh my goodness, dude. I wanted to order it. I said, cashew pepe for one, please, before I heated it up in the microwave. Delicious. So, if you're at work.
Cashew pepe sounds like a character from Pinocchio.
100% it does. 100% it does. But let me tell you what, unlike Pinocchio, cashew pepe ain't no lie how delicious it is. I'll tell you that right now. So, I'm excited to try this. They got a filet mignon. I'm excited to try that. The ones I have tried have been delicious. Saves me tons of time, dude. When I'm cruising around, doing stand-up, super, super easy. My favorite one, like I mentioned earlier, is I really loved that chickpea green curry. It was a lime rice with it. Amazing veggies. Super, super delicious. Filling, healthy. I loved it. Super quick, super easy. Little minimal cleanup. I love that. So do yourself a favor, head to factormeals.com/dank50 and use code dank50 to get 50% off. That's code dank50 at factormeals.com/dank50 to get 50% off. And once again, dude, you've ever just been too damn high? We've all been there. Today's weed, finding your perfect dose can be a dangerous game. So light up with the weed of yesteryear so you can chill out like they did back during the summer of love. Dadgrass is reviving the pleasure of the casual toke. And I'm all about those pre-rolls, dude. I'm posting up on my balcony. I just mentioned I'm taking my fantasy draft with the boys. Going to be in Utah, looking at the creek go by, out there in nature, enjoying my pre-rolls. It's going to relax my body, mellow my mind, because it's organic, smokable hemp. It's low in THC, high in CBD, so I can enjoy the effects of the cannabis while keeping a clear head. It's that glass of wine. I don't want to get too stoned. I want to be able to relax, okay? Dadgrass enables me to do that, and I absolutely love it. Also, like I mentioned, I'm flying to Utah, and if you're flying or traveling, all Dadgrass products are federally legal for ages 18 and over, and it ships right to your door anywhere in the U.S., and it's TSA approved. I'm fired up on that. So whether you're looking for a new buzz or to chill in a way, or to chill out in an old way and enjoy an old favorite, Dadgrass will leave you in a euphoric mood. Always leaves me in one, and I'm happy to share them with the boys. Nothing like the gift of giving. So I like to give my boys a nice casual toke and put them in a nice mellow mood. So right now, Dadgrass is offering our listeners 20% off your first order when you go to dadgrass.com/dank. Go to dadgrass.com/dank for 20% off your first order. That's dadgrass.com/dank. All right, dude. Jay Gould, railroad executive and financier, who is extremely ruthless in his means of obtaining wealth. So let's focus in on this a little bit. But if you want some dates, dude, guy was born May 27th, 1836. He's in Gemini. If you need to know that, guy's a Gemini, dude. I'm also a Gemini, dude, but, sometimes I'm a Shmole, and I've got a small little wink, dude. And by that, I mean a small little wink.
Isn't a thing about Geminis like two-faced?
Yeah, I'm very two-faced. You think I'm chill? Wait till you get me on vacation. I do not relax well. Okay? I earlier when I mentioned that guy who was looking to exploit Bora Bora, I've never been there, but when I look at screensavers, I just imagine, it'd be nice to put a nice factory there, make some silicone or something like that. I'd love to do that. Only way you can improve that perfect view of those white sands on the beach is if, I had a nice, bar there. And a bar is actually kind of nice. Maybe it goes with the resources, but, maybe we can make e-scooters here. It'd be nice. Maybe I can, build a port in this city, run a port. Something sick. Honestly, dude, all the business ideas I have, it took me a while to get to them. You could probably tell. The only business ideas I really ever have are just warehouses, hire DJs, charge people to get in, raves. Just themed raves. Librarians and barbarians. CEOs. And office hoes. I'm sorry. Sorry to say it, but it was one. Scene chicks and emo dicks. One of my favorites. These are genius ideas. If Jay Gould would have just brought the people of Jefferson County, look, never mind the railroad, dude. Or look, we built a railroad. Think about all the sick parties we can have here. People from all over the world can come in and dress up like scene chicks and emo dicks. There can be golf pros and tennis hoes. I need to meet the first guy that came up with that. I'm pretty sure he was probably housing a Four Locos, and he's like, here's the thing, here it is. I just thought of it. Our theme, fellas. You know, he was dropping fellas left and right. Fellas. Crazy, dude. So, Jay Gould, he does have this pull yourself up by your bootstraps story. You know, he does come from extremely modest means. Family of immigrant farmers. From a young age, he made it clear he wanted nothing to do with the family business. He was like, fuck that. I'm not getting up early. I can respect the hell out of that. Fuck your daylight savings, dude. Even though it doesn't have anything to do with farming. His father left him at school with 50 cents. He said, here you go, bro. Here's 50 cents in your pocket. Go learn something. I guess it's better than just leaving them on the side of the road or by the railroad tracks. Nothing good ever happened there. Well, Jay Gould's going to have something different to say about that. But typically nothing good ever happens by the railroad tracks. You know, you got a lot of dudes with suitcases. It's probably if you're a spy and you're by the railroad tracks, it could blend in as travel. You could just leave your suitcase there and probably be fine. And, you know, the documents could be shared. So through various small businesses, Gould began to work his way up, amassing small amounts of wealth from his ice harvesting business and a tanning business. Dude, the guy had tanning booths? Nah, I wish he did. It was a process of making leather. You know, it's not easily decomposed from the skins of animals, so he would tan the hides, but would be really sick if he was the first guy to open tanning booths. He would not be a schmole. He'd be getting people bronzed up. That'd be so tight. In 1859, he begins to invest with small railways. He dealt in railroad stocks in New York City during the American Civil War. And in 1863, he became manager of the, I'm going to butcher this, it's a French one, Rensselaer and Saratoga Railway. So soon his wealth begins to skyrocket, buying and reorganizing the Rutland and Washington Railway. In 1867, become the director of the Erie Railroad. Now he's director. He's freaking making bank, dude. He gets to engage in business war. So right now he's a prominent businessman, and he enters a business war, dude, with Cornelius Vanderbilt. Okay, mentioned him earlier. You got two, AKA schmoles going at it right now. Usually they would just moon each other or try to doty tap each other. It's pretty much what schmoles would try to do nowadays. But these guys are engaging in business war. So what do? They use financial manipulations, including the issuance of fraudulent stock and the payment of lavish, although lavish bribes sound pretty delicious, lavish bribes to New York state legislators to legalize stock sales. So Jay Gould's out there. He's like, dude, look, bro, I got my boys. You want to invest in my railroad? Dude, I'll kick you back a little cash right now. Get you into one of my private dining cars. You get you a little rub and tug, whatever you want in there. Don't worry about it, dude. And you just make it legal for me to sell these stocks, dude. And that'd be sick. So I can, I want to acquire a few more assets from Carnegie, even though I've got tons of wealth already, but I want more. Only fools are satisfied. Elvis said that, dude. So in August 1869, Gould and his partner James Fisk conspired to begin to buy mass amounts of gold in an attempt to illegally corner the market known as Black Friday. During this time, Gould used contact with President Grant's brother-in-law, Abel Corbin, dude. Abel, nice. I like that name for him, dude. To influence the president. The gold corner established Gould's reputation as both an influential figure who could drive the market up and down at will. So it's basically his whim. So if you monopolize gold or an asset, right? And back then, gold's always held its value, still does today, right? You probably heard those commercials, cash for gold. he's basically, he could short the market. I don't really know what that means, but it sounds sick to say. And, if he wants to since he owns so much of it, whatever he decides to do, buy or sell, it's going to influence everything. And gold's one of those things like, oil, they call oil black gold. It's going to trickle down to all aspects of the economy. So a lot of power, right? So favored by, you've probably heard of these Boss Tweed, these Tweed Ring judges, his partners. They escaped prosecution for, these fake stocks that they were and shorting the market at will. Basically, he could say something in the paper and then the investors would read it and go, oh, he's going to do this. So really too much power, right? He can manipulate, people's livelihoods based on a quote, But, nothing ever happens because he's got all of his boys getting his back. But this, leads to months of economic turmoil and rocks the nation, following the failure. He bankrupted some of Wall Street's most venerable financial institutions. So he was just ruthless. He's a ruthless guy, unethical. He would lost a lot of his friends this way coming up, the guys that helped him, in his battle against Cornelius Vanderbilt, they're like, dude, you've gone too far, sir. It was like that scene in The Patriot when General Cornwallis, played by, I forget that actor's name, but he's a sick ass actor. What's his name, Aaron?
Tom Wilkinson.
Yes, and he goes, Rabington, damn him, damn that man. Just doing too much, dude. He's friendless to the end. When he dies, he leaves an estimated fortune of $77 million, which if you do the math today, it's worth about $2 billion. So he's a billionaire. Dies from tuberculosis. So, he did encapsulate the American dream, but he abused these ideas of it, right? He abused it. But with bribery, insider stock manipulation, and, didn't get up there the fair way. I mean, one of these guys, so one of my favorite movies, if you want to look at like the Gilded Age and all that type of stuff, There Will Be Blood. I mean, it's basically a religious allegory. You see Daniel Day-Lewis rising up from the oil. He falls into the earth. He's a devil, right? He's one of these robber barons, Jay Gould. He's oil. Jay Gould sort of did this with rail instead of oil, but a great movie. One of my favorite movies to watch. It's really weird that I like rewatching that movie, but I also just love, you got great quotes that I'm sure, I just kept picturing Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood when I was thinking of Jay the frickin' boner Gould, dude. And just him, sipping whiskey by himself and, famously beats someone with a bowling pin. There's some imagery there. Has his own bowling alley, right? He's not gonna, when you build your own bowling alley, dude, it means you're not going out with friends to a bowling alley. It's a problem there, So, although I guess you could have friends over, but he's not. He's having Elijah over and he beats him with a bowling pin because he says, I drink your milkshake, which was a famous speech in Congress. And Jay Gould, he frickin', he built the railroads, which, go through all the towns, take people's livelihoods, lands from the, So, just a freaking schmole, dude. No better way to put it, dude. Let's see. Pretty much hit you with his whole path there. I'm trying to look through if there's any quick fun facts, dude, before we bone out of here, dude. Maybe let's just end on a positive note, Out of the Gilded Age, you got someone named Jane Addams, best known as a philanthropist of the Gilded Age in 1889. She and Ellen Gates Starr established a settlement house in Chicago known as the Hull House. The Hull House was a melting pot for struggling immigrants and provided everything from midwife services and basic medical care to kindergarten, daycare, and housing for abused women. During this era, also offered English and citizenship classes. Addams received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1931 for her work back in 1889 and beyond. So, with you have this era of, you know, prosperity, but of course it's a double-edged sword. There are two sides. But during an era of darkness, it also allows for some of the brightest stars to shine. Jane Addams being one of those. You know, you get prohibition that comes out of this. People boozing. People are stressed. Stress travels downward. You know, and at that time, you know, socially, women were right near the bottom. So, you get change that is good that comes out of this era. You get schmoles like Jay Gould, but you get chillers like Jane Addams. So I wanted to end with a little bit of positivity there, but got to give a big shout out to Harry who brought this you know, Gilded Shmole into the limelight here, because, you know, when you can look at, we can learn from you know, they say in Wall Street, you know, Michael Douglas, greed is good. Can be good to a degree, but we have to check things. You know, completely free markets, complete freedom. People, you know, can lead to, you know, as the Greeks would say, barbarianism. You got to have civility. You got to have class. You know, you got to have the right checks and balances and the right regulations set up to, you know, help. You know, you don't want to hinder progress or, you know, prevent anyone from achieving that American dream. Hell yeah, go get it, dude. Get after it, bro. Fired up on that, but, you know, you can't be doing it to the detriment of others, like what happened in the Gilded Age. So, freaking fired up to share that, dude. Fired up, dude. Go after it, chase it, dude. Get your hustle on. Start your OnlyFans if you're a dude. Spread your butt. Whatever you got to do it. You know, keep the lights on, but do it with class. You know, spread your butt, but be wearing a tuxedo t-shirt, something like that. So fired up for this app, dude. Harry, once again, big shout out to our primary researcher today, and fired up, dude. Leave a question, questions, comments, suggestions, corrections, always welcome. Check out the Patreon. Freaking stoked, dude. Stay freaking stoked. Catch you guys on the next one, dude.